Hello, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to Harping on Rugby, where, with the help of some fellow fans, I get the chance to harp on what's going on with Leinster, Ireland, and the wider rugby world. Joining me first this week is the owner-operator of the blog Post to Post Sport. This is his 33rd pod appearance, but overall, this now makes it a whopping 199 Harping contributions over the years. Welcome back to Mr. Kieran Duffy.
Yeah, it should be 10 years next month, so maybe the 200 appearance in 10 years will line up. But I expect my own dedicated special for the 200
Uh,
contribution.
Absolutely. I'll get the Harping scheduling
Yeah.
department right on that. Also with this is someone who seems to be working really hard to win the prize in our Harping Super Brew League. Not quite sure he realizes it's a prize for finishing last yet, but anyway, we're delighted to have him back for his 10th pod appearance. Hello to Mr. David Cordial.
Uh, Thanks, Jeff. Happy to be here and representing Team Vibes.
Indeed. Great stuff. And so now this brings us to our final thoughts, starting with Kieran.
Yeah, look, Interbros are always tricky, so good to get the win. I think it's this is the interesting time of year where Leinster are going on two fronts. Well, two fronts for at least the next 2 weeks, depending on how the Northampton game goes. I expect it to be a changed lineup against Scarlets. I was saying in the WhatsApp group, I think, a bit of cotton wool is necessary, but thinking about it, I don't think maybe as much as we've done in the past. I don't think we necessarily need to wrap everyone up. Archie Snyman, you think James Lowe and Hugo Keenan, because they've been injury prone in the past and because they're very important players, I would wrap them up. But everyone else, you think, let them get game time, let them stay sharp. We have the depth to do things. So unless a player is injury prone or carrying a knock, I'd nearly say they don't need to be wrapped up just yet. I think Scarlets is a winnable game. I think a win against them and against Ebre guarantees us top spot. Anyway, I'm not sure on the permutations, but yeah, looking back, it was job done and a good, comfortable win. Wasn't the best of games, in fairness. I think Ulster can probably feel aggrieved to not have taken at least a try bonus point out of, and that was more down to Leinster's defence than anything else. Ulster very unlucky with injuries. Coming off the game, I think Tommy O'Brien has to play for Ireland over the summer for against Georgia and Portugal. I'd like to see Cormac Izuchukwu as well because I think he did reasonably well when he's gotten his chance for Ireland. Um, I think there's a few players, and obviously just I was talking about Mr. Get the most. Have the most players in the Ireland squads. I don't think it necessarily needs to be that way. I think that's just the way it is right now. But I'd like to see Tommy O'Brien is Chukwu start both those games. That's an interesting one. Does Sam Prendergast, Kieran Frawley, or Jack Crowley play there? Because if one of them is probably going to go on the Lions tour, so you'd imagine that means the other two probably go, and Kieran Frawley's the one who needs the most game time. But at the same time, if you're making so many changes to your lineup, you probably need a bit of continuity with either Sam or Jack Crowley starting there. And so it really depends on line selection. But yeah, look, job done, good win. I think Leinster managed the game well, weren't brilliant in the first half, but managed to click in the gear a bit more in the second half and win the crucial moments. So good Interbro win and 6 out of 6 in the Interbros as well, I think is a big achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't have any real complaints. And Leinster have definitely put out stronger teams in the URC this season, right from the very start. And so they've kind of they've gotten the record to show it. And you know, you would think that they're going to put out a weaker team maybe next week with Northampton in mind. I mean, Glasgow are playing the Bulls. Next week, so that won't be easy. That won't be easy for them. So there might be a chance to get even closer to clinching the spot, but I suppose they do Leinster do have to manage our games. We'll just have to see what they do. What do you think, David?
Yeah, no, I think Leinster have possibly overmanaged things at this stage of the season. In the last few years, you say that because it didn't work. We came within one score of beating La Rochelle 2 years ago. We actually drew with Toulouse and were you know, the width of a post on Kieran Frawley's drop goal away from winning against Toulouse last year. Um, and then I think the losses in the URC can always be chalked up to the emotional come down from having lost the Champions Cup beforehand. So it is a case of it very nearly worked the last two times. You make that argument for a change, or maybe just the minor stuff fine tuning. I think particularly when it comes to the younger players, more is always better. You want more games in them, and they can rest when the season's over, or they can go on the Leinster when the season's over. But they're here to play. Snyman, I think, given his record, is probably a reasonable one for resting. The one I could both see resting, but also would want to flog as much as possible is Jordy Barrett. I wouldn't rest him because I think he'll get injured. I'd rest him because he really only has one job. His job is to win the Champions Cup. We don't need him for the next 2 weeks. But I equally think you could put him out in every single game from now to the end of the season and give him 80 minutes in every single one, and he'd play brilliantly and he wouldn't get hurt. So, however Cullen sees fit to deploy him, I think we can get a lot out of him. I think with the way we've played across the minor games that I saw, the 2 games down in South Africa where we had a massively rotated squad, and then every game since, the the strategy seems to be the same for all players. So we should be able to swap players in and out at will, and still get the same results out of them. Um, I think momentum, maintaining that unbeaten, except for the Bulls streak, is probably worth doing. And we're 160 minutes away from a Champions Cup medal, and the season's been going pretty well the way we've been going so far. So um, I think I was saying it to yourselves. One of my pet peeves is when you're in the last 60 seconds of a game that you're winning and you decide to try and wind the clock down, because you always make a mistake, because you start to play the way you don't play. You start to play slower. You start to hang around before getting back to the back of the ruck. You start going slowly into contact. The ref knows what you're doing. The opposition knows what you're doing. You're probably making a mistake, and everybody will look for a reason to penalise you. If it was working up till now, why would you change it? I think Leinster have been going really well. We've been very durable, allowing for 1 or 2 injuries. But when a Jack Conan goes down, Caelan Doris is still there to start. Max Deegan is still there to come off the bench. James Culhane is still going well. The next layer below that. So I think, um, I would be favoring sending the strongest teams we have out, and it's a testament. And Kieran was right. Yesterday's game was not the most exciting game in the world, and yet we still scored 41 points and 6 tries. That's the low water mark for what we're capable of. So, um, no, I think keep the foot as far down the pedal as it is at the moment. I actually think Leinster have another gear to go up even beyond this. And I hope we see that in the final, possibly in 2 finals. But I think in the last few years we've tried to be too cute by half, and I think we're good enough that we don't have to be cute. We can just be good, and we should do that.